Alright, how we doing, folks? Rich Fantastic with you, giving you the breakdown of the Monday Night Football game. The Philadelphia Eagles, 29-14 over the Chicago Bears. The box score first for the visiting Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz, 21 of 34, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Darren Sproles was the top runner, 12 rushes for 40 yards. Ryan Matthews, 9 for 32. That's a 3.3 and 3.6 yards, respectively. Altogether, 32 carries, 100 yards, 3.1 yards per rush. Ryan Matthews had the 2 touchdowns. In the receiving game, Jordan Matthews, 6 for 71. Trey Burton, 5 for 49. He had the touchdown. Nelson Aguilar, 4 for 42. 5, 6, 7 different receivers caught passes, so Carson Wentz distributed the ball nicely. Ron Brooks and Jordan Hicks recovered fumbles. The team had 3 sacks. Malcolm Jenkins had 1 out of the safety spot. Fletcher Cox did not have a sack. Nigel Bradham had a big interception in this game. Returned to 28 yards inside the 5-yard line. Really the death nail for the Chicago Bears in this one, at least I thought so. Caleb Sturgis, 3 for 3 in his field goals. For the Chicago Bears, Jay Cutler got hurt. He was not very good, 12 of 17, so didn't have that many incompletions, 157 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had a fumble that was lost, so his turnovers were not good. And we'll just get into more of that with the Bears as we go on. Jeremy Langford, 11 rushes, 28 yards, had a touchdown, but only 2.5 yards per rush. Jordan Howard, 3 for 22, 7.3 yards per rush, 18 of 64 total, 3.6 yards per rush. Alshon Jeffrey was, he put up decent numbers, but the team just didn't play well tonight. 5 for 96 for Jeffrey. Eddie Royal, 4 for 52. Kevin White, 4 for 36. Of course, Jay Cutler, we just mentioned, had the fumble. Jeremy Langford also fumbled and was lost. The Chicago Bears only had 2 sacks, one of them for Sam Acho, the other for Willie Young. No interceptions. Deontay Thompson had 2 returns for 42 yards. Altogether, the team had 5 returns for 90 yards by 5 different players. No, 4 different players, excuse me. Eddie Royal had a 65-yard punt return that was returned for a touchdown. That came late in the game. Connor Barth missed his only field goal. So there's 3 points right there. What made the difference, I don't know. What really made the difference in tonight's game was Chicago was just turning the ball over like it was going out of style. They were committing terrible penalties. They had a few offsides penalties where they just lined up straight up in the neutral zone. It's one thing if you're going to, as bad as the offside penalty is to have, it's one thing if you just, get caught up in a snap count, jump over, get the guy to move. It's another thing when you just lined up in the neutral zone, they snap the ball, and, then they run the play. Doug Peterson went for a 4th down. They were up, 22-7. I was a little surprised there. It was late in the 4th quarter, and I'm one person who's all for, going in and, putting your boot to the team's throat, but up 22-7 with as much time that was left to make it a 3-possession game as opposed to a 2-possession game didn't make much sense for me. He didn't get away with it at first, then Chicago had one of those penalties where they lined up in the neutral zone, and then they were able to get the touchdown afterwards, so he even got a chance to think better of it and still went for it. Carson Wentz, as we said, he distributed the ball nicely, played very well, did not turn the ball over, did exactly what he needed to do, still had 13 incompletions, didn't have many yards on 21 completions, didn't even get to 200 yards, so, they were keeping him underneath. He was taking what was available to him. Let's see with more sophisticated defenses what will happen. I thought Chicago would have been better defensively, and they were pretty solid, but once the turnovers started mounting up, they were put in bad field position, and, that was basically all she wrote for the Chicago Bears in this game. So they're 0-2. The Eagles are now 2-0, and we'll see if Chicago can correct the turnovers moving forward and how long Carson Wentz can keep this up. So we will be back Thursday with the preview of the Thursday night game between the Texans and the New England Patriots, and any other flash news alerts, we will bring them to you. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.